Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my 2025 reading journal setup. I'm so excited for today's video and so excited to show you all how my reading journal turned out this year. So as I did last year, I am using another Archer & Olive 8x8 square journal. I love this size. It's perfect for my reading journal, and I showed you a little snippet of how my journal's looking for 2024. But we're gonna set up this new journal together, and I don't have any specific theme. I was just trying to use up all of the random journaling supplies that I have already at home. I did print out a couple new pictures and icons I found all over the interwebs, but other than that, these are all things that I just had laying around. So I will link as much as I can in the description, but let me know if you have any questions as to where I found any products. But first, here we're doing my title page. I decided to keep it pretty simple with these graphics I have and just write reading journal in the year. You know, it kept it real simple but so cute. I love it. I love the Coffee Monsters Co. little freebie I got, which is like the background image, and then this cute bookstore image I got off of Pinterest. I feel like it went all together, and then I tried tying in the gold that is kind of all over this journal. Moving on to the next page, my first page here that we're going to work on is my index. So I'm keeping my index pretty straightforward, just using one page for this entire spread. I don't use my index that much, but it is nice to reference back when I'm looking at past journals, but I don't really use it when I am in the current journal. So I'm keeping it pretty straightforward. All I put here is my different spreads and then each month. I don't put in every single book that I read and what page I reviewed it on. So it's, I only need one page for it. This year you'll notice that I am not using my stamps as much as I have in past years. I kind of felt a little lazy this year and I just wanted to hand letter everything. And so it's going to be looking a little messy, but I feel like I really like the vibe of it. It feels a little bit more personal, and I'm also making my edges a little less sharp and kind of using these dotted lines instead of fully straight lines for my little boxes and tables. So I like the way it looked, and you'll see that all throughout this reading journal. The next page we're working on is my year in pixels page. So I changed this up a little bit. Last year I felt like my little graph was a little too small, so I made it a bit bigger. I made the height of each square one more size bigger, and so when I fill it in, I feel like I'll be able to really distinguish between the amounts of pages that I read that day. You'll see I have, once we put in the key together, specific colors associated to specific number of pages that I read. So if I read 50 pages, it's going to be this kind of burnt orangey yellow color. If I read more than 175 pages, it's going to be this deep brown. And it's just a nice way to see kind of trends of my own reading throughout the month. The next page we have here is my 2025 reading goals. I have a whole video all about my reading goals for 2025. I was trying to show you this cute picture I printed and I was showing it to you the wrong way. But I have a spread so I can track my goals for 2025. Just to quickly go over them, I have a goal to read and finish 6 series. I want to read 6 nonfiction books. I want to read 4 books written by a Polish author. I want to read 4 big books that is 600 plus pages long. I want to read, I believe, 12 classics. I'm trying to count the little circles I have here. It's a little hard to see. And I believe for my physical TBR, I have 50 circles. But again, I have a whole video about these, so I will link it down below and in the cards. The next spread I am doing is my reading tracker, and I wanted to make a really cool border for this page, and it didn't turn out exactly the way that I wanted it to, but I still think it looks pretty cute. I'm using this washi tape I got from Archer and Olive, but here I am just circling in every time I read a book. I have a goal for 75 books for 2025. I put, spots for more. And then I realized I forgot to add in my key. So I quickly made it and, glued it on the side here to show you, what method I read that book in is the color it will be colored in with. The next 2 pages here are going to be my bookshelfie. I love this spread every single year. And this year I'm changing it up. I got these stamps from Archer and Olive, and so I decided to use these instead of hand drawing every single book. And so I stamped out, I believe there is 85 books. I could be wrong, but I know it's enough to fill in my entire reading goal. And it just made this process of making the spread so much faster, but I didn't have the room to add in any extra decor, so it kind of looks very plain right now. Next, we're going to work on my book log spread. So this is the spread where I input every single book I read, so you kind of can see it as an overview. In the columns, I am going to write the number associated to when I read that book. So if it was like the 5th book I read in the year, the title of the book, the author, the genre, the dates I read the book, and if I owned the book, if I read it physically, if I read it as an audiobook, if I read it as an ebook, or if I read it as mixed media, and then the rating. So that's what the OPAEM stands for. I almost forgot what the O stand for there, but yeah, this is just a great spread that I love to use every single year, and I'm going to have 3 pages for the spread, but I'm only showing you guys 2 here. Next coming spread is going to be my genre tracker. I changed this up a little bit. I changed up, I believe, some of the genres, and then I added 0.5 stars. So I added 3.5 and 4.5 stars in my key. But here I'm going to track basically the genres I read and the star associated to each book. And it is a great way to see what genres I am really getting good books from in the year. So we've got classics, fantasy, fiction, manga, memoirs, middle grade to young adult, horror, thriller, nonfiction, romance, sci-fi, or poetry or short story. I love this page. It always is such a fun thing to look back on every single year. The next 2 spreads, I'm kind of working on them together here, and you can see I was really not having it with this washi tape. But these 2 spreads are going to be my yearly stats and my monthly ratings, so it's just going to be a lot of stats of all the books I read. So in my yearly stats page, I am going to be keeping track of the number of books I read each month, the number of pages, the number of hours I listen to audiobooks that month, how many books I read as physical, audio, ebook, or a mix, my average rating that month, how many books I bought, and how many books I unhauled. So it's a little bit different than last year, but pretty much the same. And then my monthly ratings, I kept pretty much, I believe, exactly the same. And that is, I am just writing out how many books I give each star between 1 to 5, and I also added 0.5 in between. And then I'm going to have a total at the bottom for all of the stats, and it'll be a wonderful thing to look back on. This next page is my 25 books to read in 2025, so my 2025 TBR. I have a whole video dedicated to this spread, but it is just a physical representation of the 25 books that are on my high priority TBR for this year. And it's just a great spread to look back on and to keep track of. I love the way that the spread always looks every single year. And throughout the year, I go back to the spread. When I finish the book, I will color in my star rating, and I usually color the outline of the book, so it kind of symbolizes that I've read it. But yeah, again, I have a whole video about this. I go into depth in that video on what these books are about and why I want to read them. End up adding a sticker to the corner that, looking back now, it really does not go with this spread, but I feel like it's so stuck on there now I can't remove it. That one right there. Oh. The next spread here is my series tracker. So this is basically a list of all the series that are on my priority to read. I'm in the middle of more series than I put down on this page, but these are the ones I want to focus on. We've got Six of Crows, The Stolen Heir duology, Shades of Magic, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, Dark Court Rising, The Neapolitan Quartet, the Rose Hill series, the Blue Ranch series, the Off-Campus series, the Addicted series, the Magnolia Parks universe, Red Rising saga, and last but not least, Throne of Glass. I'll probably be adding more series throughout the year, but again, these are the ones I want to focus on. Next spread is my hardcore literature book club spread. So this is the one book club I'm focusing on this year. And so I have always a dedicated spread to the books that we are reading in this book club, kind of similar to my 25 and 2025. I list out all of the books with the 5-star rating underneath, and as I finish them, I will input my star rating, outline the book, all of that. But this is such a fun spread to look at, and it's a very exciting one because we've got some big books this year. The next spread is my 2025 new releases spread. So I have just 12 boxes here where I'm going to input all the new releases that are on my radar. I actually did not even fill in the books that I have pre-ordered that are being released next year. So, I still have to go in and add that, but I actually really like the way that this spread turned out. I think it's so simplistic and beautiful. I love that washi tape at the top. I don't know, something about this that just is so eye-catching to me, but just a simple new releases spread. I know I said I'm a part of one book club this year, but I am doing a year-long read-along with a bunch of people on Instagram, and I really, really want to stick to this because we are reading Marcel Proust's In Search of Lost Time. This is a big undertaking, but I really, really hope that I can stick to it. So I basically wrote out when we are having the weekly discussions, how many pages I need to read that week, and the page count, and a little checkbox to check mark if I read it or not. And I printed out all these pictures of the different volumes, and I don't know where to put them, so I kind of have them laying in there. The next spread that I'm working on is my physical books read spread. As we all know, I have a goal to read 50 books from my physical TBR, hopefully more than that too. And so I wanted to kind of keep track of anytime I read a book physically, I can input it here, check mark it off, and have a good time. So here, similarly to other spreads, I'm going to be including the title, the author, the rating, the dates I read it, the genre, and then if I kept or unhauled the book after I finished it. The next spread I have here is my book bingo. I condensed this back down to one spread because I felt like it just used up so much space using it for two last year. So I've got, I believe, 25 prompts here of different things. And when I complete the bingo prompt, I'm going to write down the title of the book corresponding to it and fill it in, and then hopefully by the end of the year we'll complete bingo and do all of the prompts. I think last year in 2024 I only didn't do 3, so pretty good. The next spread is I love this spread, and last year I literally only had one book on it, but it makes me laugh looking at it, and it's my DNF graveyard. So every time I DNF a book, I'm gonna have a little graveyard for all of them, and hopefully I use this spread more this year, but I just had to add it. It is the funniest looking spread ever. I think it might be one of my top favorite spreads in every journal I do. Next, we have a new spread that I actually wanted to do in my 2024 reading journal and never got around to it, and it's my little statistics for my channel on YouTube. So I just felt like it might be fun to track, my changes throughout each month. So I just have a little table here where I'm gonna record my subscribers for each month, how many views I got, my revenue, and how many videos I posted and what the videos were. If they fit in that, now that I'm looking at it, I don't think they'll all fit in the little spot I left for videos posted, but yeah, I feel like it's going to be so fun to look back on this. And then here we have another spread, which is going to be for books I bought in 2025. I am trying to do a low buy year for books, so I am hoping I do not fill this out, but we'll see. So here I'm just going to write every book I bought, the title, the author, the date I bought it, where I bought it, how much it was, and why I bought it. I feel like knowing I have to answer why is going to stop me from buying many, many books. Next, this spread is going to look so empty for you guys, but it's my best book of 2025 spread. So each month I'm going to pick my favorite book of each month, and then they will battle it out until I figure out what my favorite book of the year is. This is just a fun spread to have every year. I messed up some of the sizing for this spread, but it is what it is. It looks pretty plain and simple, so I tried drawing this like outline of where the best book is going to be, and then I royally messed up the gingham pattern. I don't even want to look at it. Please flip the page. Next, I have a spread here for my winter TBR. I have a video about all the books I want to read this winter, and I have been working on this TBR list in 2024, but because it's going to be going into 2025 and we still have a couple months of winter left, I decided to make a spread in this journal for it. So I just made it as wintry and cold and cozy as I possibly could. And this is just the list of the 10 books, I believe it's 10, that I want to read this winter. Next, we're on to our final two spreads, and this is my January monthly page. So every month I do a fun title page for the month, and then I list out my TBR for that month. I, at this point of recording, did not have my TBR set for the month, so I kind of left it blank, but I added this cute little picture of a squirrel like hibernating, and that just felt like the mood for January. And the next spread and final one we're working on here is my January books and pages read spread. I've done this a million times on this channel, but this is where I like to keep track of the books I read each month and the pages I read every single day. This also helps me fill out my year in pixels page because, you know, I have that listed here. But every month I create a little color palette and then fill in the pages I read associated to each book and each color in the little graph on the right page. And then at the end of the month, you get to see kind of how many books I read and what my reading looked like that month. It's kind of cool at the end of the month. I love the way that it looks, and I've been doing this for like 2 years now. So, no, maybe 3 years now. Anyways, I love it. I think it's such a fun spread, and it is a little bit to keep track of, but I am a stats girly through and through, so it's not that hard for me. And that's it. That's the final page of the book. So shortly you'll see a flip through of every single page done for my reading journal for 2025. I loved how this turned out. I really also loved that I was mostly using everything I already owned, other than the journal and some printouts and maybe some new stickers. Everything I already had from last year. So it felt like it was a great use of things and products I already have, and it turned out just as beautiful as all of my other journals, if not even better. So thank you all for watching this video. Let me know what your reading journals are looking like for 2025, and I will see you all in my next video very, very soon. Bye!